dying embers of human existence as the asteroid, a behemoth the size of Texas, hurtles relentlessly toward Earth. The world braces for an apocalyptic end. Deep beneath the bunker, a refuge plunges into the bowels of the earth. Here the chosen gather, their purpose clear, to preserve the very soul of our civilization. The 35 and 70 millimeter prints that encapsulate the magic, the emotion, and the dreams of generations past. These masterpieces, each frame a testament to the human spirit, are carefully cataloged and cradled in the cavernous confines of the bunker. Perhaps there was room for more, for friends and family yearning for salvation, but sacrifices must be made. The movie nerds stand united, the keepers of a flame, promising a future where the art of storytelling endures, transcending the boundaries of time and space. God help us all.
Last week, I sat in this chair. To people that listen to this, at least it was only a few days ago for us. But last week, I sat in this chair and I listed off several of my issues with the 1996 film Twister. By the way, a film that I enjoy but don't love. And I talked about one, uncharismatic leading male in that movie, and too many side background characters, 3, paper thin character development, especially with the Paxton character and the antagonist, Jonas Miller. And 4, I didn't feel like the imminent danger with the tornadoes. It was inconsistent and also very unrealistic. And I'm here to say that Twisters fixes every one of those problems for me. This is one of the best action films for me that I've seen in a long time because, it hits so many quadrants. Number 1, you like hot guys? Check. You like hot women? Check. You like action? Check. You like romance? Check. It reaches both the YouTube audience and the country music audience. Check. You like sharp.
It really reaches the country music audience.
You like sharp, funny dialogue spewed out by wildly outrageous character actors? Check. Plus, they brought in a more diverse cast that didn't seem forced. Setting, and they set it in America's heartland, including the lead singer of alternative rock band TV on the Radio. Check. Also, where Twister, I thought was both a dark and dour film in look and in tone. Twisters is bright and upbeat, and even with the harrowing deaths in the beginning, spoiler, we should mention that we are a spoiler podcast. This film is fun with a kinetic energy throughout. It is so perfectly assembled, and I'm certain it was produced by AI just analyzing algorithms for the entire country. Yes, I loved this movie. It not only lived up to the hype, it exceeded it. I think Glen Powell is now a full-fledged A-lister. He nailed this role in this movie. The chemistry of the 3 leads, I think, is great. I was unfamiliar with Daisy Edgar-Jones before this, but I thought she did a great job. Anthony Ramos as well in this. The 3 leads are all carrying this buried down trauma that I thought was portrayed very well as well. I like that the film uses our knowledge of the previous films, but in our expectation of it, but it uses it against us. You've got these rival storm chasers, the corporate funded group, and the wild hell-raising hippies, which is very much like the first film. So the iconography is similar in this film, and we begin to assign expectations to the characters. Like, this is going to be the Bill Paxton person. This is going to be the Helen Hunt person. This is going to be the Philip Seymour Hoffman person, and so on. These are the good guys. These are the obnoxious, douchey ones. But then the film does something completely different and turns everything on its head halfway, which I did not expect. I also went in with some concerns because the original Twister, story beats, I was worried it was going to start duplicating that. This maybe would try to be like a direct sequel where Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton's kids, we're going to follow them, and the Twister was going to try to seek revenge. We were going to be in like a Jaws, the revenge territory. Maybe the Twister was going to follow Kate up to New York and try to chase her down there. Something really stupid. I'm glad I did not do that. I don't know. But even though I did have some problems with the last 15 minutes of this movie, and it didn't fully stick the landing at the very end. It gets a little ridiculous, but it did not hurt enough where enough for me to not love this film. But it didn't. But anyways, that's all I have to say. But I think this is a perfect summer blockbuster. This is exactly what I wanted this summer. That's all I have to say. So I would give this a 4.5.
Wow.
That's my rating. So there you go. I've gushed enough.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I gotta follow that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I really liked this movie. I don't think I loved it as much as you love it, but I had a great time. As you all know, I have been eagerly anticipating this movie. The trailer got me hype, and I'm a recent convert to the original Twister film. I hadn't seen it until just a few months ago. I watched it. I fell in love with it. I had zero expectations of the movie, and it comes out as like one of my top movies. It's a 4.5 for me. Huge fan. I think it's magic, and it hits all the right beats. Twisters 2024 is a very competent movie. You are right. It's the perfect summer blockbuster. It doesn't do anything wrong. I also don't think it takes any chances. It has some interesting subversions of our expectations, but I think they almost do that so that they don't get criticized with being a copy and paste of the original 90s film. Because otherwise it's very similar. The original Twister felt new. It felt like they were trying different things with the love triangle, with the practical effects, which of course, I sort of gushed over the practical effects in our last episode. I know there's also an assload of CGI in these movies, but they're blended a little more beautifully for me in the last film. And our CGI has come a long way since then. These twisters look very good. But I just think in its aim to be so perfect, it really doesn't take any leaps. And I found the whole thing falling a little bit flat for me. There are two things that I'm pretty bored with in the movies at this point. One are gigantic CGI town crushing set pieces. In the original Twister, everyone that falls victim to a tornado, we know, we have an attachment to them. We have seen how many cities wiped out in the last 10 years and rebuilt and wiped out again and rebuilt and wiped out again. The final set piece just really didn't do it for me here. And then the other issue I have with this movie, and the thing that I'm just bored with in movies in general, we see it a lot in the horror genre right now. This is coming up a lot. Our internal trauma as the antagonist. This is the thing that our characters, they always have to fight their own trauma, and that is the catalyst for any plot direction or movement in the story. And that does just suck out some joy, and some passion for it. And granted, that definitely exists in the original Twister. Joe's family was literally ripped apart by a tornado, but it just felt like the motivations were a little bit different or addressed a little bit earlier on. And definitely didn't play as much of a role for as many of the characters in Twister as it does now. So it fell a little flat. I thought it was really enjoyable. It is a perfect popcorn movie. I can sit there, have a great time. Glen Powell looks amazing on screen. Daisy Edgar-Jones, they had incredible chemistry. It was way more diverse. The casting, I thought, was, even though there's great casting in Twister, I did think this was better, more robust, more well-rounded. And the characters really felt like they had a purpose. They didn't just feel like the actors who happened to give them a little bit more dimension. It felt like that was intentional and fleshed out in the script, which I really liked. It was funny. It could be really funny. It was a little too patriotic for me, but it did take place in Oklahoma, so it's hard to knock it down for that. It wasn't steak and eggs. It was a rodeo. Okay. But yeah, I liked it. I don't want to sound too cool on it. I definitely had a really enjoyable time. It just felt like another action blockbuster for me. It's okay. I'll give it like a 3.5.
All right. Good take.
Is it? I don't know.
So I think you guys both have really good points. And it's interesting because one aspect that I agree with Nathan is I do feel that surprisingly the characters um, and their dialogue and the chemistry between the two of them was really 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 good.
So
I
strong.
thought the human element was strong, um, and the human element and the characters and their interaction was oddly enough, interestingly enough, the best part of this film. Whereas I felt the action and the twisters themselves and the set pieces, I definitely agree with B that it was more sort of standard CGI, fully competent, but I did not have a sense of awe. With I will say there is an opening scene where a massive twister is hidden by the fog and the wind, and I thought that was suspenseful and well done. In general, I feel sort of like the set pieces in this film are solid, but they're more sort of perfunctory. I see the thing for me is I love the 1996 Twister, and I actually really like Bill Paxton in it. I think he's like perfect for that movie. He just fits. Like I'm a Bill Paxton fan. Um, so I'll say that yeah. So Lee Isaac Chung does a great job with characters and their chemistry. The human side of this film is surprisingly developed. When it comes to the action, he is more than competent, yet it is perfunctory and random, set pieces just arriving here and there, scattershot, seemingly on a whim. The first film, the original Twister, excuse me, opens with this terrific menacing music by Mark Mancista, and the Twister logo tumbles across the dark screen as the individual letters are blown about in a dark wind. This is the opening title of the first film. The new film opens more like a TV movie where the title Twisters just appears at an inopportune moment, appearing over a simple shot of our main character standing in a field. It has its moments and is perhaps worth a second viewing. Building up suspense and milking moments for me did not quite feel like this director's forte. I feel like he had a really good handle on the human elements, but I feel like the scale, I did not feel like I have been to Oklahoma, and it is a huge place with vast open skies, and you feel like you're exposed to the sky. And I feel like that sense of the landscape in the first film in Jan de Bont, there's these wide shots of like we push in on Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton arguing in a truck, and a plane goes by, and it's this massive, wide, coordinated shot. There's this spectacular photography in the first film, and this like and the cinematography in the first movie I love. Whereas the second movie does a good job, and the special effects look realistic. But it's funny, in this day and age, we now have access to all these like amazing drone shots, and I feel like the shots in the 1996 original are just somehow more awesome. I have a personal bias because that movie, when it came out, you bring a good point, B, about the special effects. We'd never seen anything like that in 1996. Like I remember just being blown away. And this movie is good, but it comes out in a time where we've seen massive destruction on an epic scale over and over and over again. And what was missing in this film, in the first film, the tornadoes were like characters, like the shark in Jaws. It was like hinted that there's this godly, menacing presence in the sky. And in this movie, they were just weather, which they are, but a little bit of that epicness I felt was missing. But overall, I enjoyed it. I thought Glen Powell was excellent. Um, I mean, I liked everyone in the film. And I would give it a solid, like it's not bad. It's not great. I put it right in the middle at 3 stars.